So now we've done our foraging video, we've done our wild garlic pesto video, and I'm going to teach you how to use that wild garlic pesto to put it into the most beautiful quarantine green frittata. I was cooking a lot of this in the first lockdown because it was so nice and spring and sunny and lovely. So I'm trying to bring back some of those vibes today on this grey day. I use green veg for this purely because I've got loads of it. I've always got loads of it in the house. So this is a really good recipe for reducing any kind of food waste. Anything you've got in your fruit and veg drawer at the bottom, you want to get it out, give it a wash, check it's okay. I mean, it's fine. And then I'm going to bung this all in here. So I've got some spring greens, I've got a broccoli which looks like it's going to go soon, and I've got some of this really nice kale from my friend's allotment which I'm going to put in. That's again slightly miscoloured, so you know, some people might throw that out, but it's not, it's perfectly good. And this is one of those really good recipes for veg that is maybe past its best before date, so I have a real bugbear about throwing things away, especially things that, you know, aren't going to hurt you, obviously. Things like veg and fruit that is past before its best by date, but it looks great, you know, it looks good, and so much of our food is wasted because people just go by these dates. Use by dates 100% go by, like meat, dairy, please don't eat those past their dates, because that's what you think I've said. I haven't. But you know, veg, like this is great veg. It's got a gorgeous snap on it. It's not limp. It's not gross in any way. So we're going to use all this. So we're going to preheat our oven to 180. I've got a fan oven, but it's quite hot, so I would say 180 is bang on. And we've got our frying pan here. We're going to saute off all our veg in a second after we've chopped it up. So first of all, I'm going to go in for the greens, and I'm going to take as much of this as I can. Chop it quite thin so that it wilts down nice, and just, you know, get it in there. Stalks as well, you know, if you're chopping thin, then those stalks will cook down lovely. I know a lot of people take those out. That's obviously your preference, but if you're going to take them out, make sure that you are putting them to one side, using them for something else. The best thing about this is that anything that is unable to go in there, so you know, the very bottoms of the veg, things like this, are perfect for stocks. So save those, put them to one side, put them in the tub. I've always got a veg tub, scrap tub here. And I also have a neighbour who has a compost bin, and so she takes quite a lot of that as well. Just making sure that you're throwing away as little as possible, just because it's wasted food is awful, and wasted food when people are struggling to feed themselves is just even worse. So really try and be proactive with what you're doing with your waste food. Broccoli again, just going to chop off the end. That will go in, that's a really woody bit, it's not very nice to eat at all. That will go in my little tub to go to compost. And then this bit, again, people throw this away, but you really don't need to. You can just slice it down small. I would do maybe chunks like this, or even smaller. Put it in half, put little cubes in, and just get it in there. It will cook down, it will wilt down, it's lovely, and it's packed with flavour, and it's full of nutrients. Another thing you can do with it, if you don't want to put it in your frittata, is you can chop it up like this or smaller and put it in slaws, things like that. I find that's always really good. So I'm just going to chop this all up. Or save it for your stocks. Veg stock is always really easy to make at home with just any kind of scrappy stuff you have. But it's a really good tip that I learned from a head chef at a job, which is just, you know, to use as much of the vegetable as you can. In kitchens, it's brilliant because, you know, we don't make so much of a loss per ingredient. But, you know, just from a home perspective, and, you know, it's obviously cost effective from a home perspective as well, but just from a home perspective, it's really good to use everything you've got. It goes up nicely, like that. I'm probably only going to put in half of this broccoli because I've got the kale as well. So just cutting it into kind of chunks like this. It will cook down nicely with the greens. Getting all this stuff off the board and getting that in there. Be very careful with your knife. Just getting it into nice chunks like that. You really do as much as you want. This is quite a big pan, so this will feed, you usually do between 8 and 12 portions from this frittata, and it's really great for just making ahead of time, having as a lunch or a dinner, or, you know, putting it in a lunch box, anything like that is great. And then I've got this kale from my friend's allotment, which I'm just going to rip up a little bit. It's all been washed and checked for bugs. Make sure you're doing that every time you cook, washing your ingredients first. Keep you nice and healthy. The last thing we need on top of all this pandemic is E. coli. Just going to pull that in. Okay, so I'm going to turn this frying pan on now and just let that wilt down nicely. What I put in there while it's cooking is some Cornish sea salt, or any salt you've got at home. A nice bit of cracked black pepper. And then the oil of your choice. And usually I put a squeeze of lemon in. And in this instance I've made a pomace oil, which is like cooking olive oil, and lemon combo that I can just easily pour in there. And then we're just going to put that on a medium temperature and let it wilt down a bit. Okay, so while that starts to cook down, we'll make our frittata egg mix. I have got 8 large eggs here. If you've got smaller eggs, I would use probably about 12. These ones are amazing. They are from St. U, from their Shell Out to Help Out scheme, which also donated eggs to food banks, so I loved that. Just going to crack these all in here. I cannot do this one-handed, unfortunately. It's not a skill I've ever been able to do. I'm very jealous of people that can. Keep the eggshells. Some people have got things like hot compost bins where you can put eggshells in, but I don't think you can put them into normal compost bins, so I don't tend to give these to my neighbour. But I do have a lot of cats in the neighbourhood, so I crush them up and put them around the plants, and they help repel cats and slugs and things. So if you've got a garden, there's a handy tip for your eggshells. Put those to one side. Give them a little whisk. In here, I'm also going to put some more salt. Get that in there. Eggs take a lot of flavour, so that's why I put more salt in here. And this veg will take a lot of flavour as well, so it won't be over salty, don't worry about that. Which is really important. As a chef, I learned to just season everything, and I think that's one of the things that people complain about a little bit with badly cooked vegetarian food and vegan food, is that it's not well seasoned, it hasn't got a lot of flavour, and I think that's just purely down to not putting the flavour into it. So with things like this, we've got, you know, an egg base, it's going to be quite bland if you don't put loads of flavour into it, so make sure you're always seasoning everything. And then I'm going to put probably about 100 ml of cream in. You can use single, you can use double, you can use milk if you want. This is Elmley plant cream, which is vegan, because I am dairy free. Let's just put that in. And then I'm going to put a few, you probably can't see them, chili flakes in, because I love the garlic and chili combo. And then give that a really, really good whisk up. And get it nice and light, all broken up. So you've got a big egg mix there. It needs to be big because it's going to cover all of this when it's cooked down and ready to go in the oven. We've got the egg mix. Now, we've got our pesto that we made before. And you've got two choices really, but it doesn't make a difference. You can either add your pesto into your egg mix, or you can add your pesto into your veg mix. If you're going to add your pesto into your veg, I would do it when it's nearly cooked. I'm going to put some in my egg mix because it's just easier. So probably, depending on how strong you want it, remember we made this pretty strong, I'm going to put 2 or 3 teaspoons in here. Keep it to the side. Once you cook it, if you realise you haven't put enough in, you can always put some in your mix here, your veg mix, or afterwards just slather it all over it. And then give it a nice mix. You've got everything in there. You've got your egg, your cream or milk, your salt and pepper, and I put chilli in there, and I put my pesto mix in there. With this, you really can put anything you want in at all. So, you know, if you've got extra herbs you want to put in, you want to put in more chili, you want to put in any kind of spices, like you really can put anything you want in there. This is what I love about a frittata mix, is it's just so easily adapted. You can put any kind of veg in there, anything in the egg mix. And then just to show you how little food waste there is from this recipe, this is all I have. So you've cut all this veg up, you've mixed all these eggs and everything like that, and this is literally all the food waste you should have. So then when your veg is all ready and wilted down, you want to pat it down so you get a nice even spread and no major lumps. And then you're just going to pour your egg mix all over, like so. Then we're going to put this into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. It's kitchen disco time again. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes, so I'm just going to take this out and check what it looks like. Oh my god. Yes. And there you go. That is your beautiful quarantine green frittata. I'm so proud of that. Look at that. Ugh, absolutely delicious. Just leave it to cool and you can portion it up. This will feed so many people, depending on how many you've got at home. So there's only 3 of us at home. We tend to portion half of it. You can put half of it in the freezer if you want. You can put any of it in the freezer. Portion it up into, say, 8 good meal size slices, or you can portion it into more if you want to do smaller slices. Perfect for lunches, perfect for dinners. It's just perfect. I love it. I'm a little bit in love with this frittata. As I say, you can literally like make a frittata with anything. So any veg you've got in the house, you can put into it. Any cheese or any vegan cheese you can stick in there as well. It's just the easiest thing to make, and it's so cost effective. It reduces food waste. Like, you just chuck everything in there that you've got in the fridge that you don't know what to use. You know, you've got your broccoli that's like 2 weeks past its best before and looks great, but you don't know what to use it for. Stick it in here. Stick in any herbs you've got. Stick in any like oils you've got. Your pestos, anything like that. It's perfect. One last tip: you'll know when it's cooked because it kind of just comes away from the edges. It will not take any kind of prying off, if you know what I mean. And you can just tip it out onto a chopping board like that, and portion it up. So simple and easy, and you're gonna love it. Reasons why I love this recipe: it's easy, it's cheap, it reduces food waste, it's really easy to change. You can add whatever you want to it. It's so versatile, and you can pretty much eat it for any meal.